This week on TGC News, a huge giveaway announcement, Wilson Combat expands, Savage drops half, and a bunch of other awesome new products. Rand CLP offers an entire lineup of non-toxic cleaners and lubes for the discerning shooter. You can use their bore and bolt to clean up carbon, fouling, or rust, and then follow it up with their CLP, or for hot and heavy applications, the hog grease, for before, during, and after the range. Find out what the nano-infused bio-friendly lineup from Rand CLP is all about over at randclp.com. Welcome back to another episode of TGC News, the only gun news show that covers things you actually care about. My name is Jon Patton. I've got a big announcement, guys. How would you like to be the proud owner of a brand spanking new POF Revolution? You know, the 308 semi-auto that's the size and weight of an AR-15 but still shoots that 308? Yeah, that one. How would you like to own one of those and get a round-trip flight from where you live in the U.S. to Alabama for an epic hunting trip with me to go after a bunch of pigs with your brand new rifle? Sounds like a damn good time to me, and I'm giving it all away. I'm officially announcing the TGC Bacon Bash giveaway here on the show. For every $5 you spend over at tgcgear.com, you'll get an entry into this massive giveaway. We've even dropped 6 new designs on the store to celebrate this momentous occasion. The official rules can be found on tgcgear.com, and I cannot wait to share an incredible experience with one of you guys. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You guys. Now, the news. Savage Arms, a company that for many years has focused on decent quality, affordable rifles, has continued that trend with their new Model 10 GRS, chambered in 6mm Creedmoor. You heard me correctly, not 6.5, 6mm Creedmoor. Essentially, it's a 6.5 Creedmoor that has been necked down for a slightly smaller bullet, and according to some industry buzz, could be the new hot cartridge when it comes to long range. The Model 10 GRS itself comes with a heavy fluted 26-inch barrel, a really nice looking fiberglass reinforced stock with some rubberized portions on the grip and forend, as well as adjustable length of pull and cheek pieces. On top of that, you get the normal stuff that Savage does, like the Savage AccuTrigger and the proven Model 10 action. The only real downside I could see about this one is that it takes AICS mags instead of AR-10 style mags, which is a growing trend, and I wish Savage would kind of do that with all of their rifles. The interesting thing about this choice of caliber is that, as far as I can find, the only real commercially available ammo for this are 2 variations from Hornady. For those that aren't aware, the 6.5 Creedmoor and now 6mm Creedmoor are kind of the brainchild of the folks at Hornady, so that's not really surprising. I mean, sure, you can absolutely load up your own ammo, but that's not something that everybody does. I was actually discussing this caliber with a barrel company for an upcoming build and decided against it for that very same reason. There isn't much commercially available ammo. If there's only one choice for ammo, it's not for me. The MSRP on the GRS lands at $14.49, which isn't too bad for a gun that should easily tag 1,000 yards. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you get into a cartridge like this, or would you stick with something more common like a 6.5 Creedmoor or even the classic 308? Let me know down in the comments. And in You Can Teach an Old Dog New Tricks, Wilson Combat, a company most well known for putting out custom 1911s at production levels, has just announced that they are jumping into the Glock modification game. Holy crap, if that doesn't tell you where the market is without a shadow of a doubt, I don't know what does. What I also find interesting is that they seem to have a more a la carte type approach than some of the other Glock modding companies. On their website, you can select from a bunch of in-stock guns that are already modified, or select from a list of modifications to create your own custom package. Let's break down some of the options. You can get a radiused muzzle, similar to Glock's subcompact guns. You can also get front cocking serrations on the top of the slide to help cut down on glare, custom mag wells, fulcrum triggers, undercutting on the trigger guard, and perhaps the most interesting of all is that instead of choosing to go with a done-by-hand type approach on stippling, they're offering laser stippling. I suspect that's going to be a more common thing in the future as it becomes more accessible, and hey, it's already happening at places like Scalpel Arms and a few others that I've seen online. Prices for the Wilson Combat mods on the high end can top out around $1,700 to $1,800, which is a little bit higher than Agency Arms, but right on par with some of the other a la carte type offerings like Boresight Solutions. I think this is a really smart play on Wilson's part because the market for custom 1911s is only so big. So to grow a company, they have to expand on what they offer. And before someone says it in the comments, I know they do Beretta 92s and I know they do shotguns, but that is certainly not nearly as big as the other two markets we're really discussing here. How many of you guys out there have done some kind of modification to your pistols? Raise your hand if you leave all of your guns as they come from the factory. Not me. In other product news, Surefire has expanded on the Rider series of suppressors with the addition of the 22 Mini. They essentially took the 22S and chopped 1.6 inches from it, resulting in a lighter and shorter can. I love the idea of tiny little 22 cans, honestly. Having one on a little Beretta 21A or something really small like that just seems fun to me. And other than the size, the 22 Mini shares all the same features from its bigger brother. MSRP is set at $399. We also have another John, that's really too expensive type gun. This time, the LS10 from Ed Brown. It's a long slide 10mm 1911. Ed Brown, for those of you that are unaware, is a company that does one thing and it does it very, very well. That thing is 1911s. This one is, of course, no different. It's got some classic 1911 type modifications, but also sports a Trijicon RMR on top, because if you have a 10mm long slide 1911, you might want to stretch its legs or even like take it hunting, and the RMR is a nice addition for that. Long slide 1911s are also incredibly easy to shoot well with that extra weight in the front end. The MSRP on the LS10 is just shy of $4,000 at $3,995. Whew. And guess what? After several years of disappointment, Desert Tech seemingly has gotten their crap together and started shipping the long-awaited MDR. If you don't know what that is, the basic overview is that it's a bullpup semi-auto made by a company that makes some fantastic bullpup bolt-action rifles. It was met with delay after delay for the last several years. It was supposed to set the industry on fire a few years ago. Now it's just a matter of getting these things out in people's hands. I'm happy for them. I know it must be a huge weight off their shoulders to finally have the rifle shipping. I've given them a ton of crap in the past, but hey, if the rifle is as good as they say it'll be, and it's finally actually getting out there, awesome. The MSRP on those is not what I would call cheap at $2,247 for the 5.56 model, but considering their bolt-action guns aren't cheap either, it kind of makes sense. I really would like to get my hands on one of these and see how it stacks up in comparison to the Kel-Tec and IWI bullpups. Do any of you guys out there actually have one of these on order? I'm very curious to see just how many people leapt in before they were actually available. LaserMax offers some of the most rugged aiming assist devices around. With a low profile option such as their guide rod lasers, you can keep that factory look or even add a tack light without taking up rail space with the laser. Combining over 25 years of experience with modern materials and technology, these things are built to last. Available in red, infrared, and green for many popular handguns. To learn more, head over to LaserMax.com. This week's Guntuber is actually a retailer. I think it's awesome to see more and more of this happening in the gun industry. Retailers and manufacturers out there cranking out great content to support what they do. And it's not just commercials or anything like that with this one. Lucky Gunner is one of the best. Chris has made some of the most well thought out videos I've seen from the entire Guntuber community, and the videos have the production values to match. It also doesn't hurt that he's an excellent presenter on top of that. Let's check out Lucky Gunner.
A lot of people have asked about using slugs instead, or maybe keeping a couple of slugs handy on a side saddle to complement the buckshot. Choosing a handgun for self-defense, and I recommended a few specific models that I think would cover the needs of most people who are new to shooting. The central theme seems to be how to most efficiently shoot a bad guy in your house. And just drop my left hand and let's see what happens. Massive ballistic gelatin tests. We tested, I think it was 117 different self-defense handgun loads.
Now, I'm sure most of you are at least somewhat familiar with them, but one thing I want to point out is the series they did on ammo testing. They did a massive series on that. It was incredibly well done, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy all of their content. There's a link down in the description, so definitely go over there, get subscribed, and tell them TGC sent you. And unfortunately, that is it for this week's show. Guys, do not forget to get entered into the TGC Bacon Bash giveaway. And if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, share it with your friends, because that is a massive, massive help. If you didn't, let me know why down in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, please get subscribed. You won't want to miss a single week of the show. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. The shirts worn in today's episode of TGC News were provided by Patriot Patch Company. Click the link in the description to learn more.